Hello everyone. Today we are going to start about the TS of anther. Okay, so TS means the transverse section, and anther is a part of male reproductive wall, that is stamen. Okay, so just we have to focus today only on the anther part, but I hope you remember our previous video lecture where I have explained you about the double fertilization process. So there I have explained you what exactly the fertilization process is, and what is a male and female gamete, where it is produced, like in gynoecium and androecium. Okay, so today you just have to forget about the gynoecium, because we are only going to focus on the anther part, which is a part of male reproductive organ. Okay, so here you can see the structure of individual member of androecium called as a stamen, that consists of upper anther, middle connective, and lower portion is filament. Okay, so just we have to focus on the anther part. So this is a view of external morphology, it's external morphology. But when we have to study about the internal structure of the anther, which includes the different layers you can see here, and also the internal sporogenous tissue, so definitely we have to take a section of it. Okay, because the external part we can see with our naked eyes, but when we have to study about the internal structure, we definitely have to take a like thin section of the anther. Okay, so that's why the TS of anther, like it means the transverse section, which exactly is the horizontal section. Okay, so in this way we have to cut the thin section of the and this anther part, so that we will be able to see such kind of structure. Okay, so this is anatomical structure of the anther. Okay, but as you can see here, it is a complex part. The anther is a complex part, but how exactly the development of anther takes place, here you are going to study about. Okay, so the main topic is the development of anther. So you can see in this flow chart that it has been beautifully explained that how the complex anther structure has been developed from undifferentiated mass of cell. So the first thing is a undifferentiated anther, which means there is a no differentiation that which part will become which kind of cell. Okay, so it is just undifferentiated cluster of cells, which is called as archaeosporium, and that archaeosporium is surrounded by epidermis. Now you all know that epidermis means, epi means above and derma means skin or the layer. So it is the outermost layer, which again further will not going to show any kind of means different layers. It will be only act as a epidermis. Okay, but what about the archaeosporium tissue? So the archaeosporium will undergo successive divisions, and then they will form the primary parietal cell and primary sporogenous cells. Okay, so now first we are going to see about the sporogenous cell. Now the name itself is indicating that the sporogenous means which further will give rise to microspore mother cell. Okay, so you can see here it will give rise to microspore mother cell, which ultimately further will give rise to pollen grain, that is male gametophyte. Okay, so what happened with the primary parietal cell? So remember, this primary parietal cell will participate to form many layers of the anther wall just below to the epidermis. Okay, so you can see here the primary parietal cell will again undergo the division to form endothecium. Okay, and then middle layers, which will be two or more than two, and innermost layer will be tapetum. Okay, so in this way you can see how the undifferentiated anther part will participate to form a complex part of anther, including all the layers and the microspore mother cell. Okay, so in this flowchart, I hope you will understand that how exactly the formation of anther takes place. Now next here is nothing but the arrangement of different walls. Okay, whatever we have we just saw in a previous slide, like epidermis, endothecium, middle layers, and tapetum. So these are the layers how they have been arranged. The outermost layer is a epidermis. Just inner to epidermis is called as endothecium, and then it will be a middle layers. So it is middle layers, means it is not single layer, it is more than one. Okay, and finally we reach to the tapetum, which you can see it is somewhat large as compared to above three layers, and then finally the microspore mother cell, which is diploid in condition and will take part in formation of pollen grain. Okay, so this was about the anther development. So here in the theoretical part, the main keyword you have to remember that the archisporial cell will undergo the periclinal division. So what is a periclinal division? So just imagine that there are cells. Okay, so if there are many cells are present, but when I say periclinal, it means the cells will undergo in a division in such a way that they will be forming a rows of cell in a parallel manner. Okay, so like this they will form multi-layer layers of the anther wall. And then coming to the sporogenous cell, so again the sporogenous cell will undergo the few mitotic division, and then they will be acting as a microspore mother cell. Okay, so that's what the formation of anther takes place. Now here the diagrammatically they have beautifully explained that how the simple structure of undifferentiated cells will form complex anther part. Okay, so here you can see the epidermis, and internal to the epidermis there are archisporial cells, and finally after many divisions there is a wall formation like epidermis, endothelium, middle layer and tapetum, and finally they are having spore mother cell, and then they will be developing into matured anther part. And this is a diagram of dehiscence of anther. It means when there is a rupture of layers of the anther, the pollen grains will get liberated out of the anther, so that is called as a dehiscence of anther. Okay, so coming to the next part, that is a main part of today's topic, the structure of anther. So here you can see that epidermis, endothelium, middle layer, tapetum and sporogenous tissue. So these are the different parts of the matured anther. Okay, so let us see about all those layers and their function. So here coming to the anther wall. Okay, so the outermost layer is known as epidermis. So as I have told you that epidermis means outermost layer, so definitely they will be helping entire anther for protection. And the cell type is flattened type of cell. They are not spherical or globular, they are slightly flattened kind of cells. Finally, inner to the epidermis you can see the endothelium layer is present. Okay, so what is special about the endothelium is they are made up of radially elongated cells with fibrous thickening. Remember that this fibrous thickening, they means these cells are showing the means they are having the cellulose and pectin, and these cellulose and pectin are polysaccharide or the carbohydrate which are hygroscopic in nature. So basically these nature will help the entire anther for dehiscence, so that the pollen grain can be liberated. So just remember that this endothelium cells layer is made up of cell which are having the cellulose as well as pectin compound. Okay, so just inner to the endothelium layer there is a middle layer. Okay, so middle layer is more than one, it may be 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 4 etc. Okay, so again what is the main characteristics of the middle layer here is the middle layer are ephemeral. So ephemeral means they are very short lived. So when the anther become matured, the middle layer they get degenerated. So whatever the food material is stored in the middle layer, that stored food material can be utilized by pollen mother cell. Okay, so I can see the middle layer will be helping to nourish the pollen mother cell for development. And finally coming to the last layer is a tapetum, which is called as innermost layer. Its main function is to provide the nourishment or nutrient to the inner sporogenous tissue. Okay, so this was about the layers or the wall of the anther. Now the next part is the microsporogenesis. So the meaning of microsporogenesis is, genesis is a formation and microspore is a pollen grain. So here we will see that how exactly the pollen grain will develop or they will form. Okay, so here the pollen grain microspore mother cell, which is diploid in nature, will divide meiotically. Meiosis is a reductional division. So the diploid mother cell will undergo meiotic division to form tetrad or 4 haploid microspore, which is called as pollen grain. Okay, so like this the pollen grain they form. So here is a diagrammatically it has been explained that how the microspore mother cell which is diploid, they undergo the meiotic first and second phase, okay, to form finally the microspore tetrad. Okay, so coming to the next slide, this is a microspore in tetrad and this is an individual pollen grain. Okay, so this pollen grain will undergo again the division to form male gametes. Okay, but this explanation I'll be giving you in a next slide. So this you can see it is a 3D structure of pollen grain where spiny structure you can see here, which is exine. It's not compulsory that all the plant species will show such kind of a spiny sculpture of exine. It may differ in species to species. Okay, but just for example I have shown here that exine is somewhat sculptured in most of the species of plant. Okay, so next is the structure of microspore. Okay, so here we will see the structure of pollen grain. Now next, the pollen grain is a non-motile. Why they are called as a non-motile? Because they are not having any kind of motile organ like flagella or cilia. Okay, and that's why pollen grain need certain pollinating agent like biotic or abiotic agent so that they can transfer from the anther to the stigma and then can reach to the ovary for fertilization process. Okay, next is they are haploid in nature. They are unicellular body and having only one or single nucleus. Okay, and then about the layers you can see here they are having 2 layers which is called as sporoderm. Derma means skin or the layer and sporo means layer of spores or microspore. So here there are 2 main layers. Only 2 layers are there, outer layer and inner layer. The outer layer is called as exine and inner layer is known as intine. So this layer is an exine, which is you can see the sculptured, thick, and it is somewhat resistance, and also you can see the exine is not continue. See, this is the aperture, a small aperture which is called as a germ pore. Okay, so they are not continued, they have been interrupted by small aperture. And the next part is, or the next layer internal to exine is a intine, which is thin and smooth. And finally the intine encloses the mass of cytoplasm, and finally it is having the nucleus inside to it. So this is the structure of the individual pollen grain. Now coming to the layers of exine and intine in detail. So the exine, which is thick, okay, or sculptured, they are made up of complex non-biodegradable substance, okay, which are called as a sporopolanin. So sporopolanin is a substance which is again the carbohydrate, but you have to remember one thing very special about the sporopolanin, that is they are made up of highly cross-linked polymer which is a stable, so it is not easy to degrade that sporopolanin substance, so they are non-biodegradable basically. Okay, next is their resistance to chemical, and then I can say they are means not continue because of germ pore. So the main function of germ pore is it is acting as a small aperture or pathway or the channel during fertilization, so that the when the intine they develop the pollen tube, so that pollen tube can emerge from this germ pore and then can do the fertilization process. Okay, and next is a internal intine part which consists of cellulose and pectin. So the cellulose and pectin is again the carbohydrates. Next is the pollen grain as a male gametophyte. Now, as we all know, the pollen grain are acting as a male gametophyte because they can produce the male gametes. Okay, you have to remember one thing here, that pollen grain also will undergo division twicely, like and the division is very simple. It is a equational division, that is mitosis. So in a first mitotic division, okay, in a first mitotic division they will give rise to a large and small cell. So the large cell is vegetative cell, which is having rich content of food, okay, and also they are having irregular shape of nucleus. And the next cell will be a small in size, which is called as generative cell. Okay, so remember, the generative cell will be acting as an initial cell for the male gametes development. It means the generative cell will be further dividing mitotically to form two male gametes. Okay, here in this diagram you can see the pollen grain, which shows exine, intine, internal cytoplasm, and having only one nucleus. But after first mitotic division, the pollen grain shows two-celled structure, the vegetative cell, and this is a generative cell. Okay, and then you can see the generative cell or the nucleus, they will be now going to divide or undergo the next mitotic division to form two male gametes. So here you can see the two male gametes have been formed from the generative cell. Okay, so like this, the two male gamete have been formed in a pollen grain after second mitotic division. Okay, if you remember the double fertilization process, I have explained you the one of the male gamete get fused with the female gamete, that is egg, to form a zygote, and next male gamete they fuses with the secondary nucleus to form primary endosperm. Okay, so in such a way the gamete formation takes place. Okay, and then finally you can see here, this is a pollen tube or germinated pollen grain. So whatever the content is present in the pollen grain, after the germination, all the content get transferred in the pollen tube, and this pollen tube will enter in the stylar channel of the gynoecium and will reach in the ovary for fertilization process. Okay, so in such a way the development of male gametes takes place in a pollen grain. So that's why we call pollen grain as a male gametophyte. Okay, so here you can see the main thing is, you have to remember, mitotic division of generative cell, which forms further male gametes, they takes place in the pollen grain or in a pollen tube. It means it is not compulsory that always before germination the generative cells will undergo the mitotic division. Even it may be possible that when the pollen grain gets transferred, or when the pollen grain gets pollinated and fall on the stigma and they will form a pollen tube, even then also there is a mitotic division takes place to form a two male gametes. Okay, so this one, and next is a pollen grain are shed from the anther at this two cell stage in most of the angiosperm. It means what, sometimes they form male gamete before, but in most of the angiospermic plant or higher plants, the pollen grain will shed in the two cell stage. Two cell means one of the cell, which is a large cell, was a vegetative cell, and the small cell is called as a generative cell. So in this kind of stage, the pollen grain, they basically get shed from the anther. Okay, so I hope that you understood